After I told him my mistake, he gaslighted me into thinking it's okay. A few days later, he ruined my life. Hey everyone, I've been quietly following this platform, reading the stories shared by others, and never once did I imagine I'd be here, sharing my own. But life has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it? So here I am, typing away, feeling the weight of my story in every keystroke. I'm Taylor, and I'm 32 years old. My husband Alex is 33, and we've been married for 5 years. We met back in college in one of those cheesy movie moments that actually happen in real life. We were young, in love, dreaming big and utterly clueless about the roller coaster life had in store for us. These days, I juggle 2 jobs. I work a regular 9-to-5 gig in an office, but my real passion lies in my online baking business. Baking has always been my thing, my way of unwinding after a long day. Turning it into a business felt like turning a hobby into a dream come true. Even though I haven't been able to give it as much attention as I'd like due to my office job, I'm fortunate to have a lot of loyal customers who appreciate the quality of my work and keep coming back. Alex is the breadwinner, and he makes really good money from his office job too, which has left me with a lot of free money to spend. Some might say I could have chosen to be a stay-at-home mom, but that was never my dream. I wanted to contribute, to build something of my own and have my own thing going on, and Alex supported that without question. You see, I'm a bit frivolous when it comes to money. With Alex bringing in 99% of our household income, my salary from my 9-to-5 job, combined with the steady income from my successful online business, leaves me with more disposable income than I know what to do with. So I indulge in the occasional girls' trip or splurge on things that catch my eye. For a while, life was good. Our relationship was solid, our sex life was great, and we were happy. But then, I messed up. Big time. It was one of those drunken nights with friends, and I made a mistake that I can't take back. The guilt ate away at me until I couldn't keep it in anymore. It gnawed at my conscience until I could no longer bear it. So a few days later, I told Alex everything, expecting the worst. Surprisingly, he was understanding. Disappointed, sure, but he forgave me. Or so I thought. Turns out it was just a revenge plan to leave me as wrecked as he could. So I know you're probably wondering if things were so good between me and my husband. Why would I make such a mistake? It's because it was exactly that, a mistake. Let me give you some backstory on how it all happened. At my regular 9-to-5 job, a new guy came in. His name was Marco. They picked me as the one to train Marco. I didn't really care much. I accepted, you know. I couldn't say no. It wasn't like it was a big deal, just training. But looking back, if I could go back in time, I would have never agreed to train him. He started flirting with me. At first, I just ignored it. But after a point, I told him I was going to report him to HR if he did not stop. That made him stop. But then, after I was done with his training, which didn't take long, he started being overly nice to me. Worse still was that he worked in my department, so he would bring me lunch if he saw that I didn't go to lunch. He would bring me drinks, he would help me voluntarily, he would compliment my clothes and my dresses. You know, he would do all this stuff. At first, it was very annoying, but as time went on, it started to become nice. He complimented me, and I started putting effort into my clothes. It was nice to feel appreciated. Of course, I didn't want to cheat on my husband. I didn't mean to. I think I just liked the attention Marco was giving me. So yeah, I thought he was being pretty harmless. I mean, he wasn't really hurting anybody or me by being nice, so I just kind of ignored him, you know? In hindsight, I know I should have just reported him to HR. I should have told my husband. I should have avoided him. Now, normally I'm not much of a social person. My husband is the social butterfly out of both of us. I've always struggled with low self-esteem while growing up, being overly dependent on friends. I didn't really have a lot of friends, unlike my husband, so I would usually just go home after work. But that day, I honestly did not know what came into my head. It had been about a month or two since Marco had started working with us. A coworker suggested that we hit the pub, and usually, like I said before, I'll say no. But this time I decided, why not? I mean, screw it. Anyways, I knew my husband wasn't going to be home yet, as he told me that he was going to be working late that day. So I decided, instead of going home and being lonely and just watching movies and stuff like that, why not just head out and hit the pub or bar with my friends? So we headed out to the pub. Marco came along. I think it was about 7 to 8 of us. We had fun. I think we had so much fun because we went to a pub, we went for some karaoke, we ate some street food, and then we went back to another pub. At this point, we were drinking a lot. We had been drinking so much that I think everybody just kind of blacked out. By blackout, I guess I don't mean blackout literally. I kind of mean like everybody just started doing crazy stuff. We were really drunk at this point, throw up drunk, like really, really, really drunk. In a way, all I remember after heading out to the other bar because it was very rare for all of us as coworkers to go out. So we decided that, hey, why not, get a little wild tonight, because it's really rare once in a while that we all go out together and, have fun stuff like this. So we decided to go all out without craziness. That was a very bad idea because the next morning I woke up in an unrecognizable room. Of course, like any other human being, my first thought process was to, panic. Like, I do not recognize this room. Where am I? I panicked, and I started panicking even more when I noticed that I wasn't wearing any clothes and Marco was right next to me on the bed. Yes, Marco, I almost screamed. What kind of mistake had I made? This is someone I should have avoided from the start. I didn't even know who to blame, what to blame. I went through all the stages of grief, shame, guilt. Everything washed down on me. I didn't even know what I was going to tell my husband. I was pretty sure that he must have called me a lot of times because I didn't tell him I was going to stay the night. I had a huge banging headache. I was hungover really bad. But I was more desperate to see how many missed calls my husband had given me, because the number of missed calls he had given me detected the kind of urgency he was going through. So I started searching around for my bag. Thankfully, it wasn't too far from the bed. I checked my bag, my credit card, everything was still inside. I was even thankful that my things hadn't gotten stolen last night. I honestly wouldn't have even known if someone had dipped their hand in my purse or even taken my bag because I was that drunk. It was kind of obvious at this point that I was at Marco's house, which now that I think of it makes me wonder how exactly Marco was able to locate his house if he was as drunk as the rest of us were. I checked my phone, and funny enough, I did not have any missed calls from my husband. That was really, really weird. I checked my messages, and there I saw that I had some text messages from him, and as if God himself or some kind of cosmic being was on my side. My husband hadn't come home that night, so he didn't know that night. So he didn't even know that I didn't spend the night at home. I checked the messages, and I saw that he sent me some messages telling me goodnight, that he was sorry that he wouldn't be able to come home tonight, and that he would just stay in at the office. I was so thankful. I literally almost prayed right there. Because what would I have told my husband? How would I have explained it? That was literally everything going through my mind. I was so thankful. He thought I was at home, safe and sound. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, but it was quickly replaced by guilt and shame. How could I have let this happen? How could I face my husband and tell him what I'd done? Marco was still stupidly sleeping. I knew I had to leave. I gathered my things, dressed quickly, and slipped out of the room. I drove home in a daze. My mind was consumed with thoughts of how to explain myself to my husband, and then on how to beg for his forgiveness, or to not even tell him at all about what had happened. When I got home, I felt so relieved that my husband wasn't there yet. I called in sick at work and spent the rest of the day trying to recover from the hangover. I was really torn about what to do. Part of me wanted to tell my husband everything, but the thought of confessing that I cheated on him was just too much. The other part of me thought I could just keep quiet and pretend like nothing happened. I mean, how would he find out, right? It was a real struggle. I love my husband so much, and I never meant to hurt him. The guilt was eating me up inside, but I just couldn't bring myself to confess. So for the next few days, I kept it all to myself, feeling more and more miserable. I couldn't hold it in any longer. The guilt was eating me alive. One evening, I mustered up the courage to tell Alex the truth about my infidelity. As the truth finally spilled out of me, I could see the shock and sadness in his eyes. It was like I had shattered his world. He needed time to process everything, so he asked me to give him some space. I was terrified of losing him, but I understood. I left him alone, hoping and praying that he would forgive me. Surprisingly, hours has barely passed, and then Alex came to me. His eyes were red and puffy, but he looked at me with such tenderness that I was taken aback. He told me he forgave me. He said he knew it was a mistake, that I was a good person who had made a bad decision. I couldn't believe it. Alex, who had always been so firm about trust and loyalty, was forgiving me for the worst mistake I had ever made. I was overwhelmed with relief and gratitude. I knew I didn't deserve his forgiveness, but I was so thankful to have it. Honestly, I was hoping that maybe, just maybe, we could move past this and rebuild the trust in our relationship that I had definitely broken. I thought we could move past this, that our relationship could heal. But then, things started to change. Alex's forgiveness seemed conditional. He began to use my mistake against me, subtly at first. He would bring it up in arguments, reminding me of what I had done. He would withhold affection, saying he needed time to trust me again. He would shift the blame onto me, saying I was the one who had caused all this pain. I felt like I was going crazy. I knew what I had done was wrong, but Alex's constant reminders made me doubt myself. Maybe I was a bad person. Maybe I didn't deserve his forgiveness. Maybe I deserved to be punished. Alex's gaslighting was subtle but effective. He made me doubt my own reality, my own feelings. He made me feel like I was the one in the wrong, that I was the one who had hurt him. It was a cruel form of manipulation, one that left me feeling isolated and alone. I knew I had made a mistake, but I also knew I deserved forgiveness, real forgiveness, not this twisted version Alex was offering. Days started turning into weeks, and Alex's gaslighting became more pronounced. He would question my memory of events, making me doubt what I knew to be true. He would minimize my feelings, telling me I was overreacting or being too sensitive and that we were fine. I tried to confront him about his behavior, but he would always deflect or deny any wrongdoing. He would accuse me of being paranoid or delusional, furthering my confusion. I felt trapped. I realized that what I needed was some time to chill away from Alex. He was hurt, I was hurt too, and I knew that what I had done was wrong, but we weren't really doing ourselves any good. I loved Alex and I didn't want to lose him, but I honestly thought that we needed some time away from each other. I decided that I would go on a mini vacation. Well, not really a mini vacation, but off to my parents' house. I thought I'd stay there for about a week or two, just to give us time to chill and calm down. When I told Alex about going to my parents, he was surprised and asked me if I was sure. He even asked if I was running away from our marriage, but I assured him I wasn't. He seemed resigned and simply said, "Fine." At work, things were a little awkward, but we had already moved past the entire incident. Marco was no longer as nice as he was, which was a relief. I guess he had gotten what he wanted from me, which was the sex. The rest of my coworkers, I guess, also did really embarrassing things, and we really didn't want to talk about it. So we just ignored it and pretended like that night never happened. I knew I needed to use my saved vacation time from work for this break. I decided that I would work all the way up until Friday, and then ask for my vacations to start on Saturday. Maybe I'd come back the next 2 weeks or something like that. After the Friday, I had already asked for my vacations, and they were fine with it at work because I rarely ever took a day off. I packed a few clothes to last about a week or two. I left a lot of stuff behind, just taking the essentials because I was definitely coming back. I just needed to give us some space to chill, refresh ourselves, and recharge from the drama. When I got to my parents' house, they were really happy to see me. They were a little surprised since I hadn't told them I was coming. That was because with all the ongoing shit, I had genuinely forgot to. They made me food, and for the first time in weeks, I genuinely smiled. They knew something was up but didn't push me to talk about it. The next morning, I planned to fill them in on what had happened, but I woke up to find that my ex-husband, who I now consider my ex, was being petty. He had humiliated me by telling everyone I had cheated. My parents, my siblings, our few friends, everyone. He not only told them, but he also fabricated a story, saying I had been seeing the guy for months, that he was my lover, adding all sorts of crazy stuff. And they believed him. My parents confronted me, angry about the cheating. I explained it was a mistake, a one-night stand because I was drunk. They eventually believed me, but the damage was done. The few friends I had texted, calling me disgusting. Honestly, I had felt a wave of relief when my parents believed me, even if my friends didn't. They were only around when it suited them anyway. My reputation was tarnished, but I couldn't dwell on that. Little did I know, Alex was about to sink even lower. Wanting to distract myself, I decided to log into my Facebook. I expected some messages asking about the cheating scandal from people Alex had told. Little did I know, a worse surprise awaited me. As I tried to log in, I was met with incorrect password, which was odd because I usually save my login details. Attempting to reset my password, I was prompted to enter a verification code sent to my email. However, the email displayed was not mine. It had been changed. At first, I thought it was a hacker, a situation I'm sure most people have dealt with. I decided to check my account using my mom's Facebook since she was my friend on the platform. Logging in, I expected to see changes to my account, perhaps a different profile picture or suspicious activity. To my horror, my latest post was a fabricated confession of cheating on Alex and being in a relationship with Marco for a month. These were all lies. Alex had not only changed my password and email, but he had also crafted a deceitful post, claiming I was confessing as punishment for my infidelity. He even tagged my boss and co-workers, including Marco, despite us not being friends on Facebook. The post had gone viral, and it had attracted numerous comments. Alex is such a petty asshole. I mean, seriously, who does this kind of shit? So after he hacked my Facebook and posted all that crap about me cheating, I got a message from my boss. I was so embarrassed I didn't even know how to respond. Like, what could I possibly say? I was so mad at Alex. I messaged him asking why he would do something like this, and he just laughed it off. Can you believe that? He sent me a laughing emoji and said it was my punishment for cheating. What the hell, right? I realized then that I was dealing with a total revenge-driven psycho. Anyway, long story short, I got fired. My boss didn't want the drama, so they let me go. At least they said they would compensate. I didn't really care about the job, though. I still had my online business, or so I thought. When I checked my online stuff, I was locked out. My blog was gone, my Instagram was messed up, and I was locked out. I checked my Instagram with my mom's phone, and Alex had not only changed my Gmail and my password, thereby logging me out. He had also posted on my Instagram a screen record of the Facebook post he made. He had ruined not only my physical reputation, but my online reputation, especially since I had a sizable following online. It was like he had gone on a rampage. He had erased every trace of my business. I was so confused and pissed. How did he even have the time to do all that? It was insane. And the nightmare continued. After locking me out of all my social media accounts, changing the passwords and emails so I couldn't access them, Alex took it a step further. He started signing me up for all sorts of nonsense. Using my email, he subscribed me to spam emails, promotional texts, and even wrote fake reviews and comments in my name. He enrolled me in countless subscription services, magazines, newsletters, and online platforms that I had zero interest in. He even went as far as entering my information in online contests, surveys, and sweepstakes, flooding my inbox with promotional emails and messages. Throughout all this, he continued to use my Facebook and Instagram accounts to post lies and further damage my reputation. I could tell because I was still monitoring the accounts using my mom's phone. While I can't say for sure if Alex was behind all the spam with my Gmail and phone number, it's safe to assume it was him, given his petty nature and vendetta against me. Plus, I just had a hunch that it was him. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I realized I had forgotten to do the one thing I should have done earlier: take out money from our joint account. You see, the money in our joint account mostly belonged to Alex. I'm pretty frivolous with money, always have been. Alex, on the other hand, is more cautious and earns the bulk of our income. But we had an understanding, an unspoken agreement that if we ever had a fight or separated, we would split the money in our joint account equally, no matter who deposited it. It was a promise we had made to each other. But of course, I should have known better. When I finally checked our joint account, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. Alex had withdrawn every single penny, every last cent. He didn't leave me a dime. He emptied our accounts, leaving me with nothing. Mind you, during all this, I was still at my parents' house, and it had been over a week. I was just so confused and tired. I was thinking about changing my phone number and email because I didn't know what else to do. It felt like Alex had been planning all these for a while, and my mistake just made him explode. I had never seen this side of him before. He was completely ignoring me, not responding to any of my messages or calls. I had begged and cried in my voicemails, asking him to stop. He had ruined everything, my reputation, my job, and he just wouldn't quit. He was relentless. And then came the final blow. Alex finally reached out to me, stating that we were obviously getting a divorce and that he had given me enough time to sort things out. He asked me to come pack my things from the house. I was at a loss for words. This was the man I loved, yet he had made my life miserable for the past week. I decided that perhaps divorce was the best option, hoping that once it was all over, Alex would leave me alone. I resolved to beg him, if necessary, to please just leave me in peace and to forgive me. In the days that followed, I remained at my parents' house, feeling lost and exhausted. I contemplated changing my phone number and email, unsure of how to protect myself from Alex's relentless attacks. It seemed as though he had always harbored this level of anger, keeping it hidden until my mistake gave him a reason to unleash it all upon me. Mind you, I didn't even know what had become of Marco. I wasn't sure if HR had fired him or if they had just given him a break. None of my coworkers had reached out to me. It was as if I had never existed in their lives at all. You would think that they would have at least called me or something, but nope. They just went radio silent. Also, despite my attempts to reach out, Alex refused to communicate with me. He ignored my messages and pleas for him to stop. It was clear he was set on destroying me no matter what. Eventually, he reached out, informing me that we were getting a divorce and instructing me to come collect my things from our home. I prepared to go back to our house, deciding to bring my brother along for support. I told Alex I would make sure to call him before coming and that I would be bringing my brother. He was fine with that. When my brother and I went to pack my stuff, Alex was of course home, and he asked me to refrain from engaging with him, simply to pack my things and leave. It was heartbreaking, but I respected his request. As we packed, I realized that some of my expensive jewelry was missing. I confronted Alex only to be told that he had sold it. I was devastated. While he had bought most of the jewelry, I had some pieces that were mine. I was left teary-eyed and shocked with my brother fuming beside me. I was at a loss. It dawned on me that if Alex had sold the jewelry, he likely took the receipts as well. Without them, reclaiming my belongings seemed impossible. Reporting it to the police felt futile without proof. I resigned to packing the rest of my things and leaving. All I wanted was to put this nightmare behind me. I asked Alex to send me the finalized divorce papers, agreeing to sign and return them promptly. That's my story. Alex took the "when you go low, I go lower" approach, destroying my reputation, our marriage, and everything in between over a single mistake. I regret confessing to him. I should never have entertained Marco's advances or gone out that fateful night. Thank you for listening.